After lunch, we visited the Royal Hospital Kilkenny, which is considered to be one of the finest 17th century buildings in Ireland. It was built on what was then the western edge of the city by James Butler, the great Duke of Ormond, who based his idea on his Envelade in Paris and continued as a home for old soldiers for almost 250 years. The architect was William Robertson, State Surveyor General. And though a prolific builder, only two other buildings by him remain: Marshall's Library in Dublin and Charles Fort in Kinsale. The facade is the formal style of 17th century France, with high slated roofs and dormers. The courtyard, surrounded by bedroom wings, and the arcades used for exercise, is a more domestic in scale. The interior is a mixture of impressive public rooms and pleasant smaller rooms, which served as the official residence of the governor of the master of the hospital. The Great Hall, formerly the pensioners' dining hall, and with its fine walls now restored to its original white, has a spacious, almost grand air. The chapel approach to the Queen Anne gateway is said to be the most perfect Baroque interior in the country. Its high-carved oak altar is thought to have been executed by the Huguenot craftsman James Tarbury, and the heavily moulded ceiling is a 1900 replica of the original, which had to be taken down for structural reasons.
How's it going, George?
Thank goodness she is for you.
Yeah, that's right.
We usually already know the
We on that rappelé qu'il y a quelques jours que tu venais.
Je connais.
This is actually made out of papier mâché, and that was the solution to the problem. So that's what we have here today. The stained glass windows. Most of this is in the corner, and it consists of coats of arms of masters and government district building. And indeed, you can see the Butler coat of arms of the Duke of Ormond there at the very top. Can you see that? The other red tree oranges. The farm surrounding the rare dust in the altar is the master's canopy, and that's where the master here would have sat during service surrounded by his officers. Most of the pensions in the building were enlisted men, and they would have sat here in the main body of the church. There would have been a central aisle and pews on either side. And indeed, that distinction here between the ranks carried on to their death, because there are seven burial plots in the ground. Now, first of all,
Well, that's right.
We were fortunate that during our visit to the Royal Hospital Canadian that we were able to view the unit taking of the reception with pretty great and it was actually enjoyed by everybody. Our next stop was at the Church of St. James, where we visited the tomb of Sir Toby Butler. This graveyard has been restored in recent years by young people who have been tied up the graveyard, lifted up the gravestones and restored them and put in pathways.
I could ask to say that's Sir Toby Butler. I see it was subscribed, the memorial was subscribed by...
It's involved St. John.
That's terrible.
Now, sing this.
Got her going, huh? Oh, did you get his speech?
I'll get it up late.
Is it some private going way over there just to see the top of it? My daughter lives in the U.S. and we play a lot of it. You read about the Florida lot. That lady at 55 million. So I just sure.
After our tour around Pulafuka Lake, we then moved on to Rossborough House. Now this is one of the finest houses in Ireland open to the public and was built between the years 1740 and 1750 to the design of Richard Castle. Now, unfortunately, because of a robbery some years ago, in which some very valuable paintings were stolen, over £1 million worth, we were unable to bring the cameras inside. However, we did tour the house, and this is the outside facade which you now see. After leaving Rossborough House, we drove to Lisnavar for lunch with Lord and Lady Rathdownall. Lisnavar is in Raleigh, County Cork.
Can you get all of us in?
And we were guests of Lord and Lady Rathdownall, and a magnificent luncheon was served in the beautiful house and with its magnificent surroundings.
I don't think the last natural anyway, in Percy
How you want sound?
We're intrigued by this thing.
Yes, it's such a...
We're going to get in somebody's film. I don't think he's filming. I think we sort of go on it. I didn't know about these sort of things. Sorry.
There was an Norman Butler, a barrister, lived in Belleville. You wouldn't know where Belleville is, in Canada. And he died recently, but he was Norman Butler.
This one is we ran actually, you know, we went 50 miles together.
I've got my car, Lennox. I'm going. Yeah, are you getting out? I'm going to go now. I'm going to get back. I didn't know quite. I do see things. All right. All right.
Yes. No, I was not there. It will be meeting my
And so we move on to Kilkenny Castle for the official opening by the Marquis of Ormond with an address by the Mayor of Kilkenny. As you can see, the weather was absolutely fantastic. It was the first time that we were able to hold the opening outside since the initial rally held in 1967. It was a really magnificent day and a really magnificent occasion.
How's the breakfast? The weather is lovely. Oh, you can talk about the weather. Yeah, that's what you better have. I know. I don't take it.
That's the got an awful lot of
Oh, we're so self-conscious.
space out there.
That is some green.
The trouble is that
He wants to stay in London.
I saw my representative when he said,
Oh, we're leaving out Sunday.
And then there is...
Look, it's Peggy and Brownie. Who wants to drink water? This is yours.
My daughter worked for a law firm. Yeah. No, this is my granddaughter. Oh, your granddaughter? Yes.
The dinner here now. Yes. Yes. But I was talking about, you remember the first rosemary before? Yeah. Remember the first dinner we had here? And I forgot my I'll bring a
The Butler Society. It is a great pleasure to welcome you here this morning. As you know, under the terms of our bylaws, we have to meet once every 3 years in this beautiful town of Kilkenny. So here we are again for I think it's the 9th rally. I know you will all have a wonderful time here, and it is my honor and great pleasure to introduce to you the Mayor of Kilkenny, Margaret Kynan.
Thank you very much indeed. Most of you, I think, heard me speak last night, so I don't intend to speak very long today. You'll be glad to hear. I simply wish to extend a céad míle fáilte roimh, which being translated means 100,000 welcomes to all of you. I speak very sincerely from the people of Kilkenny to welcome you, and particularly to welcome Charles Butler, the 7th Marquess. It's a very great honour to have him in especially, and I know you'll appreciate when I single him out. I think he is an absolutely wonderful man, and you are so lucky to have him as your president and the proud bearer of the family title. But I also think that 3 years, perhaps, I will reiterate to all yourselves, have a ball. Very much.
Nations. I wonder, should I say country cousins? Because every country in the world practically is represented. You're all very welcome here. I'm not going to delay you very long, but looking through some archives, I came across a paper. It's the Kilkenny People, dated August 18, 1967. And it shows a gathering such as ours. And that was 21 euro, and this is the first time since then that we've had our official opening outside here in the grounds, which I think is rather nice. So we are of age, if you like. It's the seventh, actually, seventh in Kilkenny. Oh, it's 8, is it? Oh, yes, of course. Yes, I can't count. But the 8th. We've had other rallies in between in other countries of the world.
Nice to see you. I saw Margaret.
And it's nice to have the good weather.
Yes, lovely. It's really nice to see you and Margaret still going like a couple of old war horses. Oh, many
Sorry, I would open the windows and stop.
This is a view of the Great Hall, or the Picture Gallery as it now is, where we were to have our banquet later on the Saturday evening. We can, however, now observe the beautiful twin fireplace and to enjoy the beautiful proportions of this magnificent gallery with its unusual roof structure, carvings, which has been restored by the Board of Works. This restoration has taken place since 1967. About half of the castle has now been restored, but there's a lot more yet to come. And we look forward, hopefully, to the future when this will occur. This is obviously part of the castle which has yet to be restored. Work is going on here. You can notice the holes in the walls there where they've been treated with chemicals. Kilkenny Castle, as you know, was built in the mid-13th century on the site of an earlier fortification, and was for over 500 years the residence of the Dukes of Ormond. And it is rather sad to see this particular section in its present condition, but when you compare it with the views that or shots that you're about to see now, you will appreciate the work that has been done and the work that is left yet to be done. It will be done in time, but it takes money, and we must make haste slowly, I'm afraid. You will see now in a moment what I mean when I say that we have the old and the new, who are now moving in from the old part unrestored into the little drawing room, the little room at the top of the stairs, which is a lovely room which has been beautifully restored. I think that the contrast is quite startling. One of the most outstanding and heartwarming incidents occurred when we visited Kilkenny. Now here the whole village turned out to entertain us, and even the school children were practicing for weeks before our arrival. I'll let the pictures speak for themselves.
Music and everything is lovely. And also, I'd just like to say that afterwards, if we want to take photographs, we can go round into the field back there to look more closely at the castle, see the castle. And Monsignor Olden, who is going to tell us a bit about the castle. And here, observe. Are we going to play first or?
No, I tell you, I'll introduce the Monsignor. Well, on behalf of the community of Kilcash and also of Killarney, which is our neighbouring community here, I'm very privileged to welcome you all here this morning. I didn't expect to have anything to say because I'm only a minion and our chairperson is John Tobin here behind me. However, when the few airs are finished here, Monsignor Olden, our parish priest and a well-known historian, is going to fill you in and bring you, maybe refresh your memories on some of the butlers of Kilcash here. And afterwards then we'd be delighted to have you in the village of Kilcash at the foot of the mountain for a cup of tea. And I'll hand you over now to Monsignor Michael Olden.
Well, it's your territory, it's not ours. We just happen to be living here for a particular, some for only a century or two, where the butlers lived for a much longer time. And I was looking at the notice on the gate. It's probably not the first time that a similar notice was put on the entrance to Kilcash Castle, because the butlers, as you know, were a pretty bellicose people, and they were constantly at war, and I'm sure keep out was a regular sign in this particular area, but that's put up for safety reasons. But just to give you a very brief summary, because it's a cold morning, and while the butlers were a hardy clan, we wouldn't want you to be in any way get a cold. The modern butlers probably aren't quite as tough as the guys and gals who lived in this castle long ago. But as you came up the hill, you passed old churches on the right-hand side. Now, they were the centre of this part of the country in the time well before the butlers, because, as you know, the butlers didn't come here until about the 12th century, or maybe the 13th to Kilcash. But it was a very strong ecclesiastical centre going right back to the time of St. Patrick, which is the 5th century. And it was founded, it seems, by someone called Cash. And the experts who tell us that that she was probably a lady. She was a saint who was a lady. She was the founder of the community here. And there are two old churches. There are three churches together, and two of them are the old ecclesiastical centre of Kilcash, which was a very prominent ecclesiastical place in the far distant past before the butlers. And then there's a third chapel, which is really a butler chapel. It's the one nearest to the castle. And it really was a mausoleum, or a memorial chapel, in which are buried quite a number of the butlers and one Archbishop of Cashel, who was a butler as well. So, to try and, you couldn't possibly, as you probably know by now, you couldn't reach Chief Butler of Ireland in 1205. Then you had the Earls of Carrick, the Lord Dunboyne, the Earls of Ormond, the Earls of Ossory, Viscount Mountgarrett, Lord Kerr, Duke of Ormond, Viscount Galmoy, Earls of Glengall, and the Marquess of Ormond, the Viscount Thurles, and so on. It would be impossible really to trace these accurately, and I wouldn't presume to even attempt to do it today. But the butlers, they were a very strong semi-Gaelic group by about the year 1400. And it's interesting that Kilcash was a prominent centre, while the butlers, their main centre by then was Kilkenny. They had come possibly from Nina, Gorn, Kilkenny, but Kilcash was very rich in English laws, but they were promulgated and read here at the castle entrance by the White Knight of Ossory. So that the butlers were a strong and quasi-independent group at that time, as far back as that. Now, there's no Viscount Kilcash or Earl Kilcash. But Kilcash was central because you had other areas like Kilkenny, Carriganshore, Cahir, where you're going to a bit later, Feathered and Cashel, and Garryricken and other places which were strongholds. And Kilcash was fairly central to them. So that from the 1350s at least, this area was always prominent in the Butler life or the Butler strategic importance. It also was very well situated. As the monks knew when they came first, they always picked good places to build their churches and monasteries, either on a hilltop or near a river where there was access and where there was control of the area. Similarly with families like the Butlers. That's why you have this castle which overlooks the Shore Valley and which is so strategically important. Another reason why this Kilcash was important was that it looks down on territory which was half Butler, half Desmond. And it was a kind of a dividing line between the Butlers and the Desmond. They were always at war. You had the famous Battle of Piltown in the 14th century, and you had the famous Battle of Athan in the 15th century. The feuding between the Butlers and the Fitzgeralds or the Desmonds was very strong indeed. Earl would have descended. The ancestry of John of Kilcash is interesting because he was the son of Thomas Butler and Lady Ivey. Thomas Butler, one of the Kilcash butlers, married this interesting lady, Lady Ivey, and she's buried here in Kilcash as well. She was Margaret Burke, daughter of the 7th Earl of Clanrickard from Portumna Castle, and she married twice. She married first a Brian McGuinness, who was Lord Ivey of County Down, the same Iveys as the Guinness Iveys. The head of the Guinness family is Lord Ivey, who lives outside Dublin. And they originated as the Barony of Ivey in County Down. And she married him. That's why she's called Lady Ivey. And he fought for James II at the Battle of the Boyne, and he was killed. No, he went to Bot. The statutes of Kilcash were promulgated. A great assertion of independence by the Butlers. Independence of a kind from the English overlords. They were outside the pale. They were becoming more Irish for the 200 years they've been in the country, and they were intent on asserting their independence. The next date is 1570, when John of Kilcash, the great-grandfather of the first Duke, reigned in this castle. The third date would be 1766, when John of Kilcash, the 15th Earl of Ormond, the Earl of Ossory, and the Viscount Thurles was here, the son of Lady Ivey and Thomas Butler. And then the year 1795, when John the 17th Earl died. He was called Jack of the Castle because, again, like his son after him, he was not a very wise spender of money. First of the title Lord Dunboyne, and he wrote to the Pope asking permission to get married. And the Pope understandably refused. He was Catholic Bishop of Cork, and in the town of Clonmel in the year 1775, he converted or perverted or whatever you want to call it to the Protestant faith, and he married his cousin, another butler, and they had one child, and the child died, and he then on his deathbed recanted for the awful thing he had done. He left his Kildare estates to Maynooth College, which was just founded at that time, and he's buried now in Feathered Abbey, which is quite near here too. So, and Hubert Butler once gave me a present of, or gave the college where I was working, a present of a magnificent chandelier, which was... Not so much by then. They would have been speaking a mixture of Irish and English really. And I never will forget the sweet they were, because the English law, they claimed to be one at that stage only.
dancer here. And unfortunately, we didn't have a little practice run and she hasn't her costume on. So this is a bit impromptu. And if you bear with her for a little minute, Grace O'Neill will do a few steps.
Leaving Kilcash, we moved then on to another Butler castle at Cahir, County Tipperary.
stop around half-past incidentally, so I'm just trying to hit, if you like, the salient points in Sir William's life, was perhaps in the latter half of the 19th century the most significant Irishman, Tipperary man, and descendant of the Butlers of that century.